Some people may prefer cooling off these days with a nice slice of fresh watermelon.
Sounds really nice. And that fruit is not normally grown in Nebraska. Our Brent Weber is on your side with a trip to a Nebraska family farm that's thriving in the world of watermelons.
1 million watermelons, give or take a few.
So if they sound hollow like this, that's not overripe.
From bloom,
and then here's your little one that the bloom just opened today.
To harvest, hauled,
22 buses that are going out to the fields.
Washed and measured.
Bigger is better. You're going to get more flavor out of a bigger melon. If I'm going to buy a watermelon, I'm going to go for the biggest in the bin.
And shared with the world by the Nelson family, who become the most productive watermelon growers in the Midwest.
It's amazing that it's cool, isn't it?
It really is.
It's not refrigerator cold, but it's pretty cold.
Nebraska's not typically a watermelon state. Florida, Georgia, California, and Texas are all the big daddies. But now things are getting hotter everywhere, and the Nelsons have something most other Nebraska farms don't have: the Elkhorn River Valley water supply.
Trying to figure out what is sustainable, not only just because we do farm over 500 acres of vegetables, but also what's sustainable with our kids and what works as a business model.
Number one, go big with wholesale farming.
18 to 20 pound melon that we probably would make the Sam's Club or Costco size.
2, take care of home.
These are our black diamond watermelons that we sell locally to the roadside stands.
To a customer that had a really good watermelon, or how they took it to a family reunion or something, those are the things that are like, oh yes, that's why we do what we do.
And 3, cultivate the profits of agritourism, opening the gates to folks wanting to experience farm life.
We want to be able to interact with our customers here, to show them how to pick out a watermelon, talk to them about what's good, what's bad, and it's enjoyable for us.
Those who dismiss these as just a treat, the USDA points out the high nutritional value and cost per cup that makes watermelon the lowest priced fruit you can put on your table. On your side in Valley, Brent Weber, 6 News.
And Brent also found out they cut up the less attractive watermelons and they serve the slices to the cows. The Nelsons are holding their Watermelon Festival the first 2 weekends of August. We'll have details on our website, WOWT.com.